This is TWiT.
All right, we are back from the break. Samsung kicked off 2026 with its Galaxy Unpacked event in San Francisco, and there was no shortage of news to come out of it, from new hardware to a wave of AI-powered features. Honestly, there's a lot to unpack. Joining us today to talk about it is Android Faithful's own Jason Howell.
Hello,
Jason.
How's it going, friends? So good to see you again, Mikah.
It's good to see you too. Always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to hear you. Great to talk to you.
Yes, indeed.
So, very exciting. Samsung just held its latest Galaxy Unpacked event in San Francisco. I was hoping you could kind of walk us through the big announcements. Give us a sense of what Samsung may have been trying to accomplish with this event overall, given that we've got, I believe, like Mobile World Congress right around the corner, right?
Yeah,
one of those events. Yeah.
No, Mobile World Congress. You're right. I think it starts in a couple of days. It's a crazy time. There's, if you're in the smartphone world, you're pulling your hair out at this point because it's just so many things stacked. I mean, Samsung always has its flagship, marquee smartphone event around this time. They have shifted it around, but the Unpacked is usually the early part of the year, and it's always telling the story of their next flagship announcement, which is always the Galaxy S lineup. So this time we've got the Galaxy S26 2026, it's easy to remember, the S26, S26 Plus, and the S26 Ultra being the top tier line. And I think the story that they were telling is basically like, hey, 2 years ago on the S24, we started with this kind of modern AI infusion. Last year, we brought it a little bit more into the device. And this year, it's a totally AI OS. I think that's what they called it. It's an AI OS, which I think is pure marketing. But basically what they're going after is saying AI has evolved a lot in the last couple of years. Now we're kind of entering and finding ourselves engulfed in the agentic kind of world. And so that's a part of these devices. And then another thing that they were talking about is privacy, which we will definitely talk about.
Absolutely. So let's start with the Galaxy S26 Ultra. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of hardware changes? How does it compare to last year's when we're talking about design and specs? People love to dig into the specs. I feel like especially when it comes to the Android side of things. Yeah. I don't know if that's still the case. You'll have to clue me in on that.
Oh, people love to dive into the specs because it's the easy thing that you can look at and be like, oh, that's better. That's a bigger number. It must be better. There's always got to be something like that. Or the Ests, right? The Ultra, this S26 Ultra is the slimmest and lightest Ultra that has existed before. So at least they can say that. Marginally different. Like I took the S25 Ultra with me to Unpacked and kind of did side by sides, and the differences are small, but they're definitely there. It's a little less kind of pointy and edgy the way the S25 was in the hand. So at least there's that, I suppose. Gorilla Armor 2 protection on the glass. So, I suppose I feel like it's been pretty good the last couple of years, but that's nice. 25-watt wireless charging, which is an improvement over the previous generation, but still I feel like a little low. They could improve on that. 60-watt wired, 75% charge from zero in 30 minutes. So that's a nice, kind of fast charging improvement there if you're wired anyways. And then they've done a lot of work on the cameras, as they usually do. Samsung cameras on their flagships are pretty good. They're up with the best of the best, in my opinion. 200 megapixel f1.4 aperture. And I think that's changed on the main from, I think, a 1.7. And basically, what does that mean? It means 47% more light. And in fact, all of the lenses, all of the cameras on this phone got an improvement to their light efficiency, which makes all of them really great in low light performance. And I definitely tested that out. That was really impressive. Also, the Ultra is a high performing device. They're thinking of it as their highest performing device. And so they put a redesigned vapor chamber inside, larger to kind of keep it cool so that it can do all of those things that you might do if you are a high performance Android user, I guess. And that's $1299.99 is the cost, so $1,300.
Now, this is kind of moving over to well, I guess it's sort of software-ish, but I think a standout feature and something that I think it might have even been John Ashley, but it could have been somebody else. I remember somebody saying ahead of Unpacked that there was something called privacy display. What is this? Like, what's all going on there?
Yeah, no, privacy. I did really bury the lead because I knew that you were going to ask about privacy display, so I let you ask it. This is definitely the marquee feature. This is the thing that you're probably going to see most people who are covering this talking about at great length. And I think it's really funny. Like, I think this is really funny because the technology is really impressive. Don't get me wrong. What is it? It's a privacy feature that's meant to make it so that when I'm looking straight on at my display, I can see everything. But if you're looking at my display sitting next to me on a subway, you can't see it, or you mostly can't see it. It's obscured for you. It's like darker, and the text kind of disappears. And the technology is actually really cool. It's like they've got regular pixels that do their widespread, which is what they've been working on for a long time with our displays to make it so that we don't have fall off. And then they've got these kind of like narrowized, if that is a word, pixels that only shoot forward for the most part. And there's a few different kind of like sensitivity settings, so you can have it be more narrow or less narrow. But the idea is that you can switch this on demand, or you can assign it to a particular app. So you say, anytime I'm using messages or anytime a notification comes through from my bank account, that particular portion of the screen gets the narrow display.
Wait,
and
that seems kind of cool.
It's super cool. It is really cool. I think what's funny to me is that we have spent the last 20 years in smartphones and phones going, off-axis viewing that falls off and it doesn't look good from all angles is bad.
That's
and
true.
Now we're at this point where we're like, oh, off-axis viewing is good. But, you know, yes.
I want to say, you're right that we are doing that.
Yeah.
But if I'm curious if you feel the same way. If you look around at the people you know who are not super techie, I know for me, anecdotally, almost all of the people, almost all of like my family members buy those screen protectors that make it so that if you're standing to the side of them, you can't see what's on the screen. So I wonder if this is, and I use normie in the best sense of the word, if this is like really targeting normies who would otherwise be putting a screen protector on that added this privacy feature.
I think you're right. And by the way, don't misunderstand where I was headed with this, which is not, oh, this is so lame and yet everybody thinks it's so cool. I just find it interesting that we have moved, that technology works in these circular kind of patterns, right?
Yeah.
And that now we're at a point where the technology is powerful enough that we can determine when and why and what the scenario is where the display does that. And that's really the big difference. It's not a matter of this display technology is just poor in the way that it's developed and so you can't see it off axis. It's, you can see it off axis until you decide you don't want to. Or you can see it off axis until you decide that this one particular, like the whole notification being the only thing that does that, like that's friggin' cool.
That is very cool. That is what I want my technology to be able to do. That is super cool.
That's the specificity that takes this out of, oh my goodness, we're totally, stepping backwards in time, and brings us more to, it's reminiscent of the past, but it's also the future. It's a really cool feature to see in person as well.
It's so innovative, and it's honestly something that I don't think I would have, look, when the question that you often get as someone who, talks about tech, I've gotten this question plenty, is like, have we reached the apex when it comes to the smartphone? And can you do anything else with a smartphone? And why does every new smartphone seem like it's the same as the old smartphone? And where can innovation happen? I don't think I ever would have thought of this as innovation. I don't think I would have thought of this as an answer to that. And I love that even more, because hearing about it makes me go, that is such a cool idea. And again, what you talk about with the specificity of what you can do with that privacy, that's just so neat. Good for Samsung, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't many features that come out where you're like, oh, I never considered that one before, and are truly a surprise. And this was one of those rare times where that kind of happens. I do wonder, is this the sort of concept that trickles down in the next couple of years, or is this truly unique to Samsung's phones? And I don't know, it's a great idea. You have to imagine others are going to look at this and go, oh, we want to do that too, at least in the Android space.
Well, I realize we're running out of time here, so let's keep keeping along.
Yeah.
One of the things that that I found interesting is that there seems to be kind of a lot going on the AI side of things. It almost felt like Samsung it's got too much going on, because if I read correctly, we've got Bixby, or maybe not. We've got Gemini. We've got Perplexity getting involved. Do these all work together? Are any of them being phased out? Did I misunderstand anything when it came to what the current state of Samsung AI is?
No, I mean, I think this smartphone is showing a AI fluid approach to artificial intelligence. You've got your Gemini. That's got to be on the phone. I'm sure that's part of Google's deal with Samsung. So that's on there for agentic tasks, which we can talk about. Perplexity represented for web-based queries inside of Samsung Internet. I'm pretty certain you'll probably be able to apply to tell the OS to use Perplexity's assistant as your default if you want to, because the app's installed, pre-installed there. Bixby, of course, is Samsung's assistant, and now Samsung actually cares about Bixby again and gave it some, conversational upgrades, so you can use your voice to say like, hey, my eyes are hurting. Can you help me with that? And it'll take you to the right setting and do things like that. So yeah, it's just a very fluid approach to all of the AI models, or not all of them, but at least a couple of key ones. And I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to see more of that among other manufacturers too.
Beyond the Ultra, Samsung announced the standard Galaxy S26, S26 Plus. What should people know about these models? And if you could kind of give a rundown of who perhaps they might be aimed at compared to the Ultra.
I mean, the Ultra is for the power user, right? And the S26 and the S26 Plus are really aimed at the person who wants a solid standard Samsung Galaxy phone and doesn't want to have to pay an exorbitant amount of money, because the Ultra can be expensive. It's also a massive brick in your pocket, right? And so the entry level S26 is now priced at $900, $899.99. That went up $100 from last year, so that was kind of notable. None of the other models actually increased in price, so you can draw your own correlations as far as like why Samsung did that on the baseline. Does it have something to do with memory shortages, or who the heck knows? But that is the case. You got Victus 2 coverage on the front and the back. Both of the cameras are both of the phones are very similar. It's just the Plus is a little bit larger, a little bit taller, same camera system, 50 megapixel main, 10 megapixel 3x optical back there. Both of them have wireless charging. It's just that the Plus is 5 watts more. It's 15 watts to 20 watts wireless charging. They're very similar to the Ultra. I mean, all of the designs look very similar, let's say. It's just these, and these have also the same Snapdragon processor. So incredibly capable, just kind of meant for less of the power user and more for, do you want a smaller phone or do you want a larger phone? That's your pick between these two, basically.
Got it. Now, I know you didn't get a chance to actually wear these, but Samsung did refresh its earbuds lineup with the Galaxy Buds 4 and Buds 4 Pro. Can you just tell us about what are the improvements there over what's already been offered?
Yeah, I mean, anytime they come out with the new buds, it's obviously clearly the kind of primary motivation is to improve the sound quality. And like I said in our pre-show, and like you just mentioned, I didn't get a chance to check it out myself, and I wish that I had, but I just ran out of time at the event. So I can't attest to the improvements in sound. I know that they were talking about the design being allowing for more of a bass response through the channeling of the new design, but it is a new blade design. Definitely looks a little different. Definitely has kind of like a little bit of a metallic quality to it that you're either going to love or you're going to hate. Flatter charging case with a see-through top. My understanding is that a lot of the demo units at the event had lots of scratches on that plastic top, that see-through top. So keep that in mind. More high-res audio support. So 24-bit, 96 kilohertz high-res audio using Samsung's seamless codec. And Yeah, an improved AI-driven noise cancellation system, $249. I'm missing a price because there are two of these. There's a Buds 4, which is a semi-open design, so it kind of rests in on your ears, not in deep inside, and then the Buds 4 Pro seal with rubber tips. So that's kind of what you're getting. You get that sealed off effect with the upgraded.
Nice. And last but not least, Google. Hi, Google. Did make some announcements at Unpacked. Agentic AI features for Gemini. What stood out to you? And did we get a hint, perhaps, at the future of Android?
Well, I mean, we definitely did. And I mean, that's starting with the S26 series, which is the agentic stuff, agentic actions on mobile. That's definitely the standout of what Google was showing off. And, a big part of Samsung's kind of offer of AI on these devices. This idea, and it's kind of like an early beta right now, but this idea that instead of, calling your rideshare or ordering your food manually, you could just assign it to an agent, and on your device in real time, that will happen either in front of you if you choose, or behind the scenes with a little pill that tells you it's running in the background. And, I keep calling 2026 the year of like the agentic AI, even though some people might have said that was last year. But I think this is the year where it gets really serious. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. Rolling out to the S26 first, and then also coming to the Pixel 10, and then we're probably going to see this on a lot more phones. So I know that that's really important to Google. That gets their Gemini really integrated on a deeper level and shows off just how much wonderful things they've been creating in the world of AI and why everybody needs to respect them in that realm. And then also there's Circle to Search getting an improvement, which allows it to not just detect a single thing in an image, but like if you have an entire outfit and you want to price the fit entirely, you could circle it and it will pull out all the elements and find you the fit, which is kind of neat. Yeah.
Jason, I want to thank you so much. I know Unpacked, there was a lot to unpack.
Always is.
Really cool to get to chat with you about especially the privacy display features. If people would like to keep up to date with the work you're doing and follow you online, where are the places they should go to do so?
Well, Android Faithful is a great podcast that's related to this. We were at the event, me and Florence Ion. We did a part of the episode there. And so you can get our kind of hands-on with some of these devices by going to androidfaithful.com. And then this morning, or really late last night, I published my video from Samsung Unpacked. Go to YouTube, search for Jason Howell. You'll see my video that focuses on the Ultra and the privacy display that we talked about earlier.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. Have a good one.
Bye.
You enjoying this tiny taste of Tech News Weekly? I'm happy to hear it. You can check out the full show on our website, twit.tv/TNW, or you can watch it right here on YouTube. Just click the link below.